Well, welcome back. This final stretch of the year, during any other year, is usually about disconnecting from work and reconnecting with friends and family. If there were ever a time we all needed both of those things, it sure would be now. Pandemic restrictions, though, are forcing us to be restrained and a bit creative. For millions of people, the weight of what is unfolding is very serious. It is taking a deep toll. So we want to give everyone some tools to help get through and to help people in your lives who may need it as well. And we have some help tonight on The National to do that. Dr. David Greatzer is a psychiatrist at the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health, or CAMH, in Toronto. Dr. Chang is a psychiatrist and author in Vancouver. Thank you both for making time for us. Well, Dr. Greatzer, let me start with you. It is certainly important to stay informed and follow all of the guidelines. It's a lot to take in, though. So what's your advice to people to make sure they find out what's going on, but still stay healthy mentally?
Sure. It seems poor form to go on a news show and suggest we watch less news, but alas, I think that's what I'm going to do tonight. We're all off our games. Our regular schedules have been thrown off. We're not commuting to work like we used to because maybe we're working from home. Maybe we're not even working. However, in the literature, it talks to things about the importance of maintaining routine in the schedule. So even if you're not going downtown for work, say, getting dressed and getting up in the morning is important. We're very tempted to watch the news multiple times over the day on our devices, on our TVs, and so on. Maybe we should spend more time scheduling social contacts with our friends, exercise, and to find times when we watch the news, but not all the time, because frankly, it can be a little bit overwhelming.
Check in the morning and the evening to CBC News. That's my suggestion. Shannon Barner is from Edmonton. She's got little ones at home, and she's trying to guide them through this difficult time. Have a listen.
My question is for my 3 elementary-aged children who are asking about when do we get to see our cousins and grandparents over the holiday season, to which we can't because of COVID. I am wondering, is there a professional response or something more that we could be providing for the kids? Should we be providing more than just a simple no because of COVID answer?
Such a great question. Dr. Chang, what should we be saying to children?
Right. Well, I would tell Shannon to combine truth and optimism. So children actually know what's going on. We don't want to sugarcoat things, but we want to give them age-appropriate truth. And the more information, the better. The brain likes information. It gets scared of the unknown. So, explain why we're socially distanced. Explain how the virus is contagious. Explain why some of the recommendations are in place, and then end in optimism. So definitely talk about, we're still going to have a great holiday season. We're going to drop off gifts or do choir on Zoom with grandparents, and end with that tone of optimism. The brain loves that. So when we combine truth and optimism, great way to communicate with children and adults.
And Dr. Greatzer, the next one is for you, and it comes for and from older students, the ones in college and university. Chloe Champion is in Halifax.
For students like myself who are currently studying away from home, how would you suggest coping with feelings of isolation that might be negatively affecting students' mental health?
Well, Chloe, that's a great question for university and college students. Frankly, it's a great question for all of us because we might not be away at school. We might be a 10-minute walk from our parents and yet really distant from them because of the circumstances. So first things first, let's remember how we shouldn't cope with isolation. In recent surveys done by CAMH and Delvinia, we find that 1 in 4 Canadians is turning to binge drinking within the last week. Ouch. It's important for us to use substance in moderation. And it's also important for us to find other ways of coping with this isolation that we're all feeling, and the loneliness as well. So reaching out to friends and family, obviously it's going to be different than it usually is. We're not popping by our parents' place for a cup of coffee, but maybe we can reach out with Skype or FaceTime or WeChat. If you're a more traditional kind of guy like me, perhaps it's a phone call, maybe it's even writing a letter, but it's important for us to maintain our connection with people, and it's important for us to maintain a healthy lifestyle in, frankly, pretty stressful times.
A connection, even at one time in the day, is so helpful, and some fresh air I've found as well. Even pre-pandemic, though, many of us find the holidays difficult to get through because there's so much pressure to be festive. You're supposed to be surrounded by friends and family. So if any of those pieces are missing, it's a really tough time. So the holidays plus pandemic and then the restrictions certainly exacerbating things, to say the least. And this next question speaks to that. How do you know when feeling lonely and unhappy has veered into depression? Dr. Chang, what should people be looking for in themselves, but also others?
Right. So first we have to understand the power of loneliness. Loneliness is actually toxic. It reduces our immune system and actually is linked to early death. So we really have to work on that social connection. And we can be lonely in a room full of people, and we can feel emotionally connected staying home. So to improve that, you want to go deeper in our relationships, more vulnerability, more laughs, more jokes. And then if there are symptoms of depression that last more than 2 weeks, which is a low mood, plus disturbed sleep, difficulty with your focus, concentration, lack of interest, motivation, anxiety, panic, or any suicidal thoughts, you definitely want to get some help, talk to family and friends, and then further professional help as well.
And Dr. Greatzer, just before we go, top 3 tips you would give to folks, what they should be doing in a day to help them get through?
There's a lovely little paper in the British Journal of Psychiatry that recently appeared that talks about staying mentally healthy during times of self-isolation. Here are 3 tips that you can incorporate into your life. 1, learn. We're designed to learn. It's intellectually stimulating. So you don't have to learn Japanese tonight, but some type of learning to incorporate into your day can be useful. 2, give. Obviously, charitable acts are very different right now, but even helping an elderly neighbor doing some shopping is very rewarding for them, but it's also very rewarding for you. And thirdly, exercise. There are very few things that are as evidence as exercise for not only treating major mental illness like depression and anxiety, but preventing it in the first place.
Dr. Greatzer, Dr. Chang, thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Helpful advice.